Eng-Teck Tan from Nikko Asset Management is discussing what he sees as the three top investment themes within Asia, ranging from financial services through to renewable energy.
The first one that we really like is really insurance sectors across the region and especially in China. So unlike a lot of overseas in the Western world, a lot of people do buy insurance, but not to the extent of Asians, primarily because the social welfare system is probably not as developed as the Western world. So a lot of people in Asia actually buy much more insurance than a lot of countries. For example, in Taiwan, insurance penetration is like almost 15% of GDP. A lot of us not only use insurance as a social welfare system, healthcare providers, but they use insurance kind of as a savings and a wealth protection kind of means. So this provides a lot of opportunities. Penetrations in China is almost like only 1.2%. So there is actually a lot of room to move. The government is very, very supportive of that. A lot of corporate pension plans are actually tied up with a lot of insurance companies. And on top of that, they're encouraging people to go into healthcare plans as well. So we see a lot of potential in that. The second part, which I mentioned before, is all about advanced manufacturing in China. So in China, a lot of manufacturing are probably not as advanced as the Western world, especially if you take Japan and Taiwan as comparison. We think China has a very, very good chance of moving towards that. And that's premised on the people itself. As you know, demographics is actually aging in China, so there's a lot of huge move into automation. Historically, the Chinese doesn't really bother to do a lot of automation. They can get a lot of cheap labor. Now they're actually moving towards that direction. Also, a lot of engineers are actually returning to China. I'm sure you heard the term haikui, basically returning turtles. These are Chinese that historically doesn't want to work in China, because if you move back 20, 30 years ago, the only jobs available in China is actually to be a factory workers most of the time, and most of them doesn't want to do that. When they get a PhD and master overseas, they tend to stay in their own, stay in those countries because they get better jobs. But today, if you go to any of the internet companies or more of the advanced manufacturing companies, auto companies in China, you realize that a lot of these are actually returning engineers. So that gave China a chance in R&Ds and to move on for that. Lastly, I think renewable energy is really a big theme for us as well. China has a history of mismatching these renewable energies, as in a lot of subsidies are given and then there's a lot of overinvestment. I think China has reached a stage where they finally know how to manage this renewable energy better, and also it's very important for the environment in China. The Chinese, about 3 to 4 years ago, in a lot of surveys done by the Chinese government, the Chinese have said that they will prefer a slower economic growth but a better quality of life. And most of the time when they say that, they actually means the air that they are breathing, because that's quite serious. And we have seen pilot programs being implemented in a few major cities with good success. So we think that is a huge theme. Now, selecting stocks is a big problem within China, because a lot of companies can have corporate governance issues, or maybe the execution isn't as good. So that is another issue. But we think that these three themes are actually where the future of China is, and we actually invest quite a lot on those stocks.
Any advice in this video is general advice prepared by Morningstar without reference to your financial objectives, situation, or needs. You should consider the advice in light of these matters and any relevant product disclosure statement before making any decision to invest.